Lady Wallace, you've been doing a speech here tonight on, amongst others, Brexit, and you said when Theresa May says Brexit means Brexit, you do have no idea what that would mean.
We're left uncertain about all dimensions. We don't know what the timetable will be. We don't know what the negotiating strategy will be. And we don't know how that will be handled within the UK between the government, Parliament and the population, or indeed the different parts of the UK. What's become clear is that those who were in favour of Brexit hadn't formulated a plan for what would follow if they were successful in the referendum.
That to a continental European sounds incredible. How could this ever have happened?
I think quite a lot of the people in favour of Brexit didn't expect to win the referendum, so that's part of an answer. Another part of the answer is that, as is often the case in no campaigns, it was a coalition of people from very different backgrounds and with very different political and socio-economic positions who didn't have an agreed platform. What they got instead was a set of agreed criticisms. So we've got a list of criticisms, but we don't have a list of objectives.
What do you think will be the most likely outcome now? Will there be really an Article 50 procedure then from next year on, or will it go on for 10 years with negotiations? What could ever be the outcome?
I mean, what the substantive outcome is still very unclear for the reasons I've said. Article 50 will presumably be triggered next spring and will lead to a period of 2 years divorce proceedings. We know that could be extended perhaps, so it might be more than 2 years. Most people think it's unlikely that that would be a complete settlement. So it'll be the rupture of divorce, but not what all the consequential division of the assets, as it were, that take place in a divorce. It's expected that there might therefore have to be a transitional deal to follow Article 50, pending the negotiation of a long-term agreement.
Why didn't the non-Brexiteers prevail after all? Was it such a tight decision that it was a coincidence?
I think there are several reasons why the Remain campaign was weak. It depended too much on the popularity and credibility of David Cameron, and not enough effort was made to show other kinds of people from other parts of the political or social, indeed social spectrum. We only, for example, saw very late on how keen the Greens were, not because the Greens weren't saying it, but because they got little attention, they weren't part of the campaign platform. So it wasn't reaching out to different sections of the electorate in the way that the Leave campaign did. The other thing, which I think was a fundamental mistake of the Remain campaign, was to be so narrowly focused on what they called killer economic facts. Because while those appealed, of course, to some sections of the electorate, there were great parts of the electorate to whom that was really not at all convincing. And the identity issues are also important.
You also said that Britain maybe has been complaining too much while being inside and maybe gotten too much exceptions for everything. Now that Britain is or could be out, they're still in, don't forget that. Could it be that the rest of the European Union might have, the odd man is out now and would paradoxically have more integration now?
I think it's still a pretty heterogeneous family, isn't it, the European Union? So I find it slightly implausible that getting Britain out of the way will allow everybody else to do big leap forwards. I think there's a different risk, which is that the British set an example which some other member states might want to pursue by developing a version of a semi-detached membership as well.
Could that lead France, for example, to renegotiate the European Union once there's a new president next year?
Well, it depends whether it's President Fillon or President Le Pen, doesn't it? Since it seems unlikely to be President Hollande again. We know that Marine Le Pen has admired what's happened in Britain. We know that she might be tempted to move in a different direction. That would be terrible news for the European Union. And I guess what would be different is that people would come much more quickly to thinking about what the loss of France would mean than they have in the case of the United Kingdom.
But I'm afraid that would mean the total explosion of the European Union, couldn't it?
Terrible, terrible. I mean, it's not a prospect to be faced with any enthusiasm at all. Germany at that point becomes very lonely. And that's not a happy place for the Germans to be, and it's not a happy place for other countries either. So we're in very distressing times, and it requires some politicians with cool and calm heads to help look after us.
Is there any positive note you could have here at the end?
I think we have to invest our hopes in the youngsters, because it's my 5-year-old grandson, 5, on June the 24th, said when his parents explained they were very upset, "When I grow up, I'll make sure we join this club again."
Thank you very much.